Hello, my name's Verity Weston and I work for Avon and Somerset Constabulary as a youth project coordinator. I'm here today to do a presentation on communication as parents and how we can better communicate with our children to ensure that they are safer online. So why and how a child can become victim of online exploitation will be discussed, and also how as parents what we can do to help prevent that from happening. So reasons as to why your child may become a victim to online exploitation is not a coherent list, but just to give some ideas. Usually we see that it's because of an unmet need in some sort of other areas of their life. So it could be, for example, that they have a low self-esteem and they're looking to seek security from somewhere that's not been met in other areas of their life, such as relationships, or they're not too sure about how they look or how they're doing at school, all of those sorts of things. If there's an unmet need, which often isn't very obvious, it's really hard to see what that unmet need is. And if they build what they perceive to be a trusting relationship online, then that unmet need can be fulfilled in that way. We can also look at the awareness of their emotions and how they're feeling. Lots of young people, some adults as well, we're not always too sure on how we're feeling, and we sometimes do things really quickly, or things we maybe shouldn't do because they make us feel good quite quickly, even if sometimes they're the wrong thing to do. And that's the same for our young people. There's also can be a lack of awareness of what's an appropriate relationship, and we're kind of in a generation where we didn't grow up like parents that are sort of in their late 20s, 30s, 40s. We didn't grow up with all this online material, apps and friendships and things. So it's very different and very hard for us to understand that our young people are in that position now. And their understanding of appropriate relationships, therefore, may not be what ours is. So they might be quite different. There also may be some sort of fear of ending that friendship or relationship that they've built online, especially if they're sort of been pressured or coerced into forming that relationship or been involved with that certain group of people. They don't have those connections or those trusting relationships with people such as parents, teachers, anyone really. Doesn't necessarily have to be a parent, but if that need of theirs is unmet, then they're much more likely to form those inappropriate relationships online. And if we've got unmet needs as well, we don't have those connections and relationships, our resilience, our ability to be able to deal with the difficulties that can be presented in those relationships, we usually find is much lower, and therefore we're more likely to become caught up in difficulties with little means of escaping and seeking help to get out of them. So I'm going to give you an example here. It's going to be fairly, hopefully quite common to what we see in our teenagers at home regarding Snapchat. And bear with me, I'm not technical at all. I don't have Snapchat myself. So just bear with me while I play this out. We're going to come back to this after I've given you an example of how we can improve that situation. So mum's been working at home all day. It's lockdown. We're all stuck in. We're all working on our laptops at home because of COVID. Amelia comes down into the front room and she says, "Mum, I really want Snapchat." "No, Amelia, you're 12 years old. You're not having Snapchat." "Please, can I have Snapchat, Mum? Please. All my friends have got it and it's really unfair." Mum's really stressed. She's been at her laptop all day. The last thing she needs is Amelia nagging her. "No, Amelia, go away. I can't cope with this. I've told you no so many times. You're not having it. End of discussion." Amelia storms up the stairs, really angry, slams the door, something falls off the wall. Mum's stressed. She's gone back to the laptop trying to concentrate on her work and she can't. And everybody's just gone back to back. There's no relationship, there's no connection. Everyone's feeling a little bit on edge and a little bit angry. You could say your lids flipped. You know, both of their lids had flipped in that situation. Then, lo and behold, like they do, Amelia comes back down the stairs and she says, "Mum, please, please, can I have Snapchat, Mum? I've been asking you for ages. You don't understand." "Whatever, Amelia, just get it. Go away, leave me alone. Can't cope with this anymore. Do whatever you want." You know, how many times as parents have we been in that situation? It's really easy to just give in just because we're unable to deal with that situation and regulate our own emotions almost. So Amelia's got Snapchat, okay? But Mum does stipulate you are not to talk to any weirdos, okay? Get it, do whatever you want, no weirdos. So Amelia's gone off, really happy. Mum's a bit like, "Oh, thank goodness, she's left me alone. Amelia's gone and got Snapchat. A week later, mum checks in. How's it going with Snapchat? You know, how are you getting on with it? Yeah, great. Look at all these pictures. Look at my friend's new trainers. Look at what my friend's doing on this day. You know, they're flicking through all these pictures, and Snapchat looks great. Mum thinks, oh yeah, okay, fine. Everything must be great. So then Amelia starts talking to someone who she assumes is a friend, because she has lots of friends online. They're also friends with lots of her other friends, and she just thinks, oh, must be someone that's in that group of people. They start chatting, and she's got no awareness of what the word weird means. You know, all mum has said is don't talk to any weirdos. Amelia doesn't really know. You know, we've all got different interpretations of weird. Amelia doesn't see us as weird because this person's talking to her really friendly. So she doesn't think that's strange at all. We then look at this relationship between them, and it's building. They're talking more, they're sharing photos, and the relationship develops. Amelia comes down the stairs. Mum, I'm going to the park. Okay, Amelia, who are you going with? Just a friend. The one I was showing you the photos of that they were sending the other day, and they're just going to go and meet a friend. Okay, see you later. Have fun. You know, who has Amelia gone to meet? Okay, so that could be absolutely anyone. Mum's just assumed it's safe because it's a friend. That person could be absolutely anybody, and nobody knows. Mum has no awareness. Amelia has no awareness because friends online are her normal. So let's replay this again. Okay, let's replay it as if Mum has now taken the time. You know, she's actually defined weird. So she's still a bit grumpy, still a bit angry. And she sort of said, well, why do you want to have Snapchat? Why? And Amelia's explained why she does. Mum's defined, don't talk to anyone weird. And Amelia sort of gives Mum a little bit of a look. Then that's Mum's cue to come in and sort of define the word weird. So if anything's unusual, if you don't actually know who this person is, if you've never met them before in real life, you know, ask your friends about them. Is this someone new that's come into your life that's trying to be a friend of yours? Come in, you know, just be cautious about it. Talk to your friends about it, and we'll go from there. So how do Amelia and Mum feel now? They feel like they've connected, they've talked, and everything. Everyone's kind of a little bit happier than they were in the previous situation. So Amelia has come downstairs again a week later, and Mum sort of said, how are you getting on with Snapchat? And Amelia said, well, you know, we talked about weird people. Something is a bit odd, actually. Look at these photos here, this puppy. And Amelia's kind of showed Mum all these photos of the puppies that she's been sent. And Mum said, oh, who's got puppies then? Amelia said, well, I don't know. I don't really know who it is. They're friends with other friends of mine. I think it's someone that just goes to the other school. And Amelia's mum said, let me see your phone. You know, she's got quite angry and quite annoyed that this is happening. Let me see your phone. Amelia's mum's hit the roof. You know, she's flipped her lid. She's really annoyed that Amelia started talking to somebody else, someone she doesn't know, and she's deleted the Snapchat app and she's taken away Amelia's phone. So we're now left in a situation where Amelia's cut off. You know, we're in lockdown because of COVID. Amelia's now cut off from her friendship group, and also we've got to keep in mind as well for our young people, their phones may be in their wellbeing toolbox. So what we like to say is that we've all got our own wellbeing toolboxes. We all do things, hopefully, which we know make us feel good. So on their phones could be apps, games that they play, just like a bit of escape time. It's also their only form of communication to the outside world as it is now. And if we take that away from them, we could actually be impacting their mental health. And then Mum in that situation as well is also really angry. She probably feels disappointed. She probably feels that Amelia's let her down. But we haven't actually resolved the real issue. We've just punished for something. You know, Amelia's come to her mum, she's opened up, and she's been punished for opening up, for bringing a problem, a difficulty to Mum. So if we look at that in terms of us as adults, how can we see that the same way? So let's give an example at work. You've been asked to work on a project, and you notice one of your colleagues is copying a lot of your ideas, is using some of the same things that you wanted to use, and you feel like that's not quite right, that's not fair, I'm going to go and talk to my boss. So you go to your boss hears what you said, your boss has got annoyed because he's busy, you know, and all the rest of it, and he's taking you off the project, and he says, I can't cope with this, you're not working on that project anymore, leave it. You've been punished essentially for taking a problem to your boss. You know, you were brave enough to go there, you're brave enough to open up, you're brave enough to try and start that connection and conversation, and he's punished you. You know, he's taken you off your workload, and that's exactly the same as what we do when we take our phones and we punish our young people for coming to us with a problem. So how we can look at that in a different way is to replay this situation and have a little bit of understanding about the development of our young people and what they actually need in order to better communicate with them. So in about year 5 at primary school, year 5, year 6, so sort of age around 9, 10, 11, that kind of age, it's different for everybody. Our role as a parent changes from a manager into a consultant. So we often find that as parents, I found it myself, really difficult to do. It's a really hard transition to make because, you know, we're the ones that have looked after them since they were babies and managed everything that they did. Whereas as they grow and develop, they need to be able to build their own resilience and their own independence, which is going to help them in difficult situations. So how do we build a connection with our young people in a better way when they get to this sort of age? So when they're displaying an emotion, we say you can name that emotion to tame that emotion. Now, lots of young people display anger because it's really quite easy to display anger rather than disappointment and sadness and jealousy. It's a lot easier to go flip our lids and we burst and we're really angry. And teenagers with all these hormones and stuff running around, all these emotions that they may not have experienced before, difficult social situations, you know, really easy for them to slam the door, smash that frame, shout at you, say things that they probably don't mean. So we can name it to tame it. So Amelia, you look really angry about the fact that I've said no to Snapchat. And you know, that's a cue for often these young people will come back and sort of say, no, I'm not angry, and they can often tell you what the emotion is. A lot of young people can't. But again, that's your cue in before that big has happened. That's your cue to sort of jump in and say, well, what is it then? If you're not angry, what is it? Because it looks like there's something going on here. And that's how we can build our connection. We can offer an opportunity for them to talk. So I don't want to talk about it. I'm not in the mood, can't talk about it. Well, I'm here if you need me. You know, I'm here. We can talk when you're ready if you need to. And we need to also be displaying the message that all emotions are okay. You know, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be mad. But not all of our behaviours are okay. It's not okay to slam the door. It's not okay to smash the frame. It's not okay to use horrible words. It's all the emotions are fine. The behaviours are what we need to be a bit more in charge of. And we need to validate that as well. So if they bring something to you, rather than shut them down and dismiss them, we need to validate that. You know, thanks for telling me. Thanks for talking to me about that. I appreciate it. So it's really important as well. In the process of doing this, that we are setting boundaries and limits. We're not saying sort of let children do whatever they want, have whatever apps they want. We need to set boundaries and limits. It works, okay? So if we look at this more in a concept of scaffold building, so as a consultant, we build the frame and we get them to put the boards on. So they've brought a problem to you and you can say to them, okay, here's the problem. Okay, what do you think we can do about this? Sometimes they go, don't know, not sure. Often, normally a response from a teenager. Okay, well, how about you take 5 minutes, you know, write it down, text it to me, come up with some ideas. And often we find that when young people feel involved in the resolve of a problem, that they actually will find a better way to be able to deal with those difficult situations, rather than us sort of managing the situation and dictating how it's going to go. If we do it together, we've built that connection, and it tends to become a little bit easier. So if we revisit the Snapchat situation which I played out earlier, we approach that in a very different way. So this time mum takes the time, you know, she's realised her emotions. She's thought, oh, I'm really busy, I'm really frustrated, I can't quite cope with talking to Amelia right now. So she's in tune, you know, she's tuned into her emotions. We call that being emotionally intelligent, and she's taking control of her own emotions in that situation. Let Amelia, I'm busy. Can you give me 10 minutes? Let me just finish this, come down, we'll have a chat about it. 10 minutes gone, Amelia comes back down. Mum, I really would like Snapchat. And she explains why. I'd like to be more connected to my friends. I feel left out. And I really would like this, that. Mum's like, okay, right, we're going to give this a go, but we're going to do it together, okay? You can teach me, you know, I don't know much about Snapchat. How about you teach me what it is, what the app looks like, how you use it, how often you talk to people, how you add people, who can see what you put on there, you know. You teach me, I can look online as well, I can maybe get the app myself, have a little bit of a look. So there's things that mum can do there to make Amelia feel supported, and also in turn mum feels a little bit more supported and involved in doing that as well. It's not just being dismissed. When we're doing that together as well, we can set clear boundaries together in a scaffold building way. Everybody knows the limits, you know. It's more the message of, I want to help, I want to talk. We can come up with a contract together that you open up to me, and I'm not going to punish you. I'm going to talk through problems with you. I'm not going to take your phone away from you if you bring a problem to me. I'm going to look at some stuff that you feel uncomfortable about. If there's a problem, you don't have to show me everything. You know, it's really important that's relayed really clearly. Teenagers do have secrets. They might be embarrassed about some things. You know, as adults, we probably feel similar too. But they need to know that you've got your back. You know, you're there for them. You're doing it together. You've come up with maybe times of when Snapchat isn't used, and when Amelia might think, oh, maybe after 8:30 at night I probably should turn it off or log out or silence it. You know, you've come up with a few ideas together of how you can manage this use of social media. So Amelia now feels a lot more comfortable about using Snapchat. She doesn't feel like mum's angry with her, and they've built that bit of a connection. And it's really clear as well that there will be no punishments, but there are some clear boundaries here that we need to do. So let's revisit the Snapchat story, okay? So Amelia's gone back down to mum a week after having Snapchat. Mum's sort of, how are you getting on with Snapchat? Oh yeah, look at these photos of my friend's new jumper and my friend's trainers, and look at this puppy. Now who's got a puppy? Whose trainers are these? Oh, these are Rose's trainers. Whose puppy's that? A friend. Mum's noticed straight away. She's tuned into Amelia's reaction, her emotion. Amelia's a little bit closed off about it because, you know, she's still a little bit anxious, a little bit worried. Whose puppy is it? I don't know actually, Mum. Have a look. I think it's someone from the other school. So should we have a look together? I won't read your messages. I won't look at any of those sorts of things. So she shows Amelia the profile, and Mum thinks this is a bit strange. There's no real pictures here. It's all puppies, and Mum sort of notices that there's something odd about this. It's not quite okay. So they have that conversation. They work through that together. Amelia feels valued and trusted. Mum sort of suggested maybe we should report this profile. You know, let your other friends know, because they're friends of other friends. Let other friends know as well that this is maybe a little bit odd, not quite right. So what have we done? We've alleviated the possibility of Amelia meeting this person. We've also given friends an awareness. It's given Amelia and her mum the chance to report this profile, which may be a bit strange. It may not, but it may be a bit strange. We've alleviated that possibility. And in turn, Amelia feels valued. Mum feels valued. They probably feel trusted. They feel connected together. And there's been a regulation of all those emotions, which can quite easily just blow up. They've been regulated. And that's a really good demonstration to our young people, you know, that I can regulate my emotions as a mum too, you know. Look, you know, it doesn't always work like this. You know, there are times where it's too difficult, it's too hard, and it doesn't always work. But if we're displaying it as best we can, that, you know, we are here for you, we've got your back, that it's often seen that young people will find difficult situations a lot easier to handle.